Hi, I'm Diane Kometa, and today on Dishin' with Di, I'm going to be making an American classic beef stew. This is a traditional stew of beef and vegetables cooked till they're fork tender and perfect. Ideal for the fall and winter months. It's something my family looks forward to every year. I hope that you enjoy it too, and let me just take you over the ingredients and we can get started. You need potatoes, carrots, stew beef, and I have some beef that's been cut into 1-inch cubes, some celery, onions, flour, beef cubes, a bay leaf, some browning sauce, some Marsala or sherry wine, salt, pepper, and olive oil. You also need some hot water. I have a Dutch oven, which is a large pot, heating on the stove over medium-high heat. So I'm going to go over there and we're going to get started on the first step. The pan is heated and I'm just putting some olive oil in. And now I'm going to put my beef in. So what we're doing here is we just want to sear the meat. I'm going to get that brown, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's done, and we'll go to the next step. The meat has been cooking about 7 minutes, and it's nice and brown. And what you're going to do now is take the hot water, and you're going to add that to the meat. Make sure your water is hot. You don't want to lower the temperature of the meat. And we're going to add in 1 bouillon cube and a bay leaf, and a little bit of salt, and some pepper to taste. We're going to give this a stir around, turn the heat up to bring it to a boil. And then once this comes to a boil, I'm going to cover it, reduce the heat to medium-low, and let this cook for about 2 hours. A little more, a little less, and that depends on how tender your meat is. So you want it to be almost fork tender. So you don't want it to fall apart because you still have to cook your vegetables in here. So I took the carrots and I peeled them and I cut them into small pieces, and I did the same with the potatoes. And now what I'm going to do is take the onion and the celery, and I have my little mini food processor here, and I'm going to put them in there and pulverize them. I puree them. There's a couple reasons why. I like to not have a bunch of big chunks of vegetables in my beef stew, and I guess it's because I have kids, and when they were growing up they didn't want to eat their vegetables. So if you can hide them by pureeing them and putting them into the food, then they get them and they don't know they got them. And then as far as my carrots and my potatoes go, I used to cut them a lot bigger. And one day I asked my youngest son, whose beef stew did he like better, mine or his grandmom's? And he said, he liked mine, but his grandmom cut her vegetables a lot smaller. So from that day forward, I started cutting my vegetables nice and small. So the point is, I guess, if you have kids and you want them to eat their food, I guess if you can make it a little bit more appealing looking, then you might be able to slide in some, good nutrition into their diet. But it's just easier if like a carrot is like really nice and tiny, or a potato is small like this, instead of what we know beef stew as with the like big chunks and stuff. And I don't like that so much anyway. So here we go. If you don't have a mini food processor like this, if you can, get yourself one, because I've had this thing for, I guess, at least 10 years, and I use it all the time. If you don't have one though, just try to cut the stuff up real small, and if you like it big, then leave it big. It's up to you. It's totally up to you. So I'm just going to grind this up. Whoops. I'm going to grind this up, and then I'm going to go over and show you our next step with our meat. Now I'm just putting in those beef cubes and the wine. Now if you don't want to use wine, you can put a little Worcestershire sauce, just a little bit, maybe a tablespoon or something like that. And we're going to put a little bit of salt in, and a little bit of browning sauce. This just deepens the color, has a little bit of flavor to it, not much. and then the pulverized vegetables. Then all of our other veggies, and we're going to turn the heat up now because we want this to cook for about another 30 minutes or so. So you just want to give this a stir, and if it looks like it needs a little bit more liquid, then add in some hot water. I'm going to put some pepper in here. And if you think you need a little more browning sauce, then go ahead and add that in. Whoops. But I'm going to let this come up to a boil, and then I'm going to put the lid on and lower the heat to medium and let it cook for about 30 minutes. And then there is one more step before we get to eat. So I'll show you what that is. All right, now this is what it looks like after 30 minutes. Everything is well cooked, and I'm getting ready to thicken the sauce up. So I'm just taking the flour and I'm gonna mix that in with some water, and we're creating what's called a slurry. So you just wanna mix this together with your fork. Put a little in. And just keep stirring it. And then once you get the desired amount in there, just cook it for about another 10 minutes or so. You just kind of want to cook that raw flour taste out, and then I'll show you how I serve it up. So there it is. I mean, look at it with the little potatoes and the carrots and the rich, thick sauce. And I love to dunk my bread in it. I mean, that's what I do. I sit there and I just dunk bread. That's mostly how I get full. And the gravy that it produces is just so thick and rich, and I love it. And I love it with the wine in there. So that's an option. If you don't want to put that in, like I said, add like a tablespoon of Worcestershire and you know, did I say that right again? I like it because it's a one pot deal. So it's easy to clean up, and then you have, if you make a big batch, you can freeze it, you have it for lunch, you have it, you know, in the future. It's just one of those things that I've always had on my recipe list for the fall and the winter. So try it out, give it a go, and you know, do me a favor, go on my Facebook page and go below this recipe and let me know what kind of things you're craving. I'd like to see what you want to see me make in whatever part of the world you're in. I want to know what your favorite recipes are. Don't forget, go to my website, dishinwithdi.com, for the recipe with all the ingredients, and I hope I made your life a little easier, more enjoyable, and delicious. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.